Welcome back to Dreamcatchers. With me today is writer and Professor Dayage Alford, and he's here with us today to talk about some of the struggles that Indigenous students face. We discussed all of them, the obstacles, the solutions. Now what I wanted to know is your personal journey and how you went about getting an education and reaching a PhD level.
I started off here in Kahnawake and went to school here, and then for high school I went to Loyola. So I think I had a pretty good foundation, like academically, from Loyola. It's a Catholic school, and I don't subscribe to that religion anymore, but it did a good job of training me in the basics, like reading, writing, and that kind of stuff. But I didn't continue on after that. I went to Marianapolis for 1 semester, and I didn't last because I was misguided in thinking that what I was going to do is do a degree in commerce and figure out how to make Rabaska bigger and bigger and better. But it turned out that that wasn't my path, so I failed out of math. I couldn't do math, still can't. And then I had to really think about what I want to do. I went in the Marines, came back, and then after that I decided that what I wanted to do was get an education that was going to prepare me to see the world. I had this idea, I want to see the world. So I don't know, I got a bachelor's degree, and it ended up being in history and political science, East Asian history, like Chinese and Japanese, because I was fascinated by that part of the world. But in the meantime, I started working at the council, and I started getting involved in our politics here and stuff. And so by the time I got to grad school, I went to Concordia, and then I went to Cornell for my graduate school. Mm-hmm. I was focused on Indigenous stuff, and particularly our politics and our history, so I ended up on the right path after all. But it was kind of a challenge for me to even think about applying my education to our issues, because there was no Native studies. There wasn't even any courses related to Native history at all when I went. Mm-hmm.
Not to reveal your age, but how old were you when you were going through all of this? Well, let's just say, what decade was it?
It was the 80s. So I'm 47, and
no shame.
No shame. No, 47, and I was 22 when I started back. So I was 22 when I started at Concordia, and like I said, I did this degree in history. It was kind of a challenge for me because I couldn't relate it to anything going on at home, but I did pretty well. I was one of those people that just said, I'm doing this, and I didn't need the kind of supports that I just talked about because I was home. And I used to travel back and forth every day, and so I didn't really feel like alienated or anything that in school. It was more like a job for me. Mm-hmm. Like, I just got out of the Marines, right? So it was like, here's my mission, and I'm just going to go and do it, and I did it like that. It was different, though, when I went to graduate school. When I went to graduate school, it was I moved down to Ithaca, and it's a much higher level academic challenge, Graduate school is, but then Ivy League school at Cornell. So I have to say I felt pretty intimidated the first semester. First day sitting there, and everybody goes around the class, I'm so-and-so, and you got Buffy so-and-so and Alistair so-and-so from Princeton and Yale and all this stuff. I'm like, I'm Gerald from Kahnawake, and I went to Concordia. And I felt pretty intimidated in terms of who I was up against in this competitive environment. But I learned a lesson about support, because this guy who's no longer with us, Ron LaFrance, sub-chief from Akwesasne, was there as the Native student advisor, and he ran the American Indian program. And that environment there really gave me the support I needed. Like, it gave me friendship, and it focused me in terms of doing my education and helped me see that everything I was doing there could be related back to home. And so I felt motivated, almost like an academic warrior. Here I am doing this stuff, and I'm going to apply it. Of course, the time made a difference too, because I started in 1989, and what happened in 1990.
Right.
Yeah, so that was pretty motivating, to come to say, okay, wow, we got some serious fights going on here, so I better make sure I'm well prepared in my mind to be someone who helps out with that. So
you mentioned that you had a difficult time. For you, school wasn't like you'd reach a certain level and then you'd be like, I don't want to go on anymore. So what kept you going to reach your PhD?
What kept me going was the fact that I saw that more power came to me with each level. I got to the end of my bachelor's, and honestly, I didn't know what graduate school was. I didn't pay that much attention to it when I was doing my bachelor's degree. I had no idea how you became a professor or anything like that. But my professor said, listen, you should think about that. And so I read up on it, and I talked to some people, and I said, okay, maybe getting a master's degree would be good. It's just another 2 years. But I applied, and the program at Cornell was a combined master PhD, so they expected you to go on. I had no intention of doing that, though. I was always thinking 2 years in, and I'm out, you know, out working. But as I started doing it, I said, wow, I'm learning a lot about myself, you know, and so I became motivated. Like, I'm becoming more Ungwehunwe here. Like, I'm hanging out with all these Longhouse people. I know all these people who know a lot more about what it is to be a Haudenosaunee.
I can actually agree with you on that. Like, my experience at Concordia, being in the first People Studies course, was I reconnected more to who I am. I found I learned more about my culture out there than here.
Yeah.
And I'm not trying to knock Kahnawake and its resources or anything, but sometimes it takes that, you know, to go to a higher level of education to learn about your culture and who you are. It's a really great lens to see things from.
Yeah, I have one guy I know. He lives in Ottawa now. He's Cree. You know, he knows the language, and he's pretty rooted in all the ceremonies and stuff. But he's not ashamed to say. He goes, for the next generation, he goes, the people are going to learn what it is to truly be Nehiyaw. It's going to be in the university. He goes, because everything at home is too messed up, like in his communities, you know. So he says, we're taking all the best knowledge, all the elders, and we're bringing them into these good programs. And so now it's kind of a paradox, but they have to come and learn the basics at a university.
So is that where you see it going?
No, I don't agree with him. Okay. He says that, but I don't agree with him. Okay. My approach would be, yeah, if things are messed up at home, then we have a responsibility to fix those and to actually have a relationship. So my approach is not to take that knowledge out and bring it to the university, but to actually do what we do well in the university and to connect in a real way to those communities. So the program that I run, we have elders advisory, but not only that, we do classes on the reserve. We integrate like the teachings of their elders and even all their practices, fishing, carving canoes, doing all that stuff into our program so that the learning happens, the academic learning happens while you're doing stuff that's really, truly native culture. And we have this kind of going back and forth between the land, the reserve, and our classroom. And so my idea is more kind of, let's tie it all together rather than to say, we need to just take what's good and put it in the university.
Well, that's definitely something for university students to keep in mind. So thank you for being with us today, Dehayaige. What was it, Dehayaige? Is that the proper way?
I believe so.
Dehayaige. Thank you, Dehayaige, for being here with us today on Dreamcatchers. Your interview was very insightful, and I hope that you inspire a lot of Kahnawake youth who are looking to pursue education at a higher level. Thanks for watching, everyone. For Dreamcatchers, I'm Lauren McCumber.